So good evening from both sides. I've got two Facebook pages that I'm broadcasting from, as well as the YouTube. So my son was telling me that's probably part of the problem. I'm using so many things on my Wi-Fi that it may be causing problems. It may just it may not just be Facebook and YouTube. So he says before I start blaming other people, let's make sure that things are in place. So anytime your son or your children know something that you don't know, they will not let you forget it. So shout out to HB the third, um, and him being able to tell his dad something that, and I got to give him his dap on that. So that's where we are. It's Wow, it's about 10 past the half. So I want to say good evening. Welcome to the show. As I said, I appreciate you coming in tonight. Um, it always humbles me that you guys take the time to be here. Um, 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 um. First thing they teach in public speaking is not say but sometimes when I'm looking at the responses, I get sidetracked and I say it. So without any further ado, my name is Hank Batista. The show is called OMITdaLOGIC. Um, I've got to I got to turn off these notifications because some people are sending me things that affected me. The voices in my head are screaming because though I promise to try to stay away from all of the political maneuvering, there are things happening that I just can't ignore. One of the things I want to do, and I purposely waited until February was over because, in my mind, you can't talk about American history without the inclusion of us as a people. Now, most of you know that my lineage is truly, we always make jokes about having Indian in our family, but I said this several times. My maternal grandfather, my mama's dad, was Indian. My mama's mother was the product of intermingling. You know what I'm saying? So she was listed as mulatto. My great grandmother truly was. So I'm thinking about all of that. And when I think about it, what I think about is in recent years, we have had this disrespect for ourselves where we say, why do we need Black History Month? And I say to those people that we need it for the same reason that everybody else is celebrating their heritages, their ethnicities, and what have you. So I just want to say this: Carter G. Woodson, Carter G. Woodson, Carter G. Woodson was the one. Dr. Carter G. Woodson was the one who came up with the idea of Black History Month. Now, most people don't know who Carter G. Woodson is. In New Orleans, there used to be a school named after Dr. Woodson. I don't know if there is where you come from, but what's crazy about this, in the city of Daytona, where I am now, I rode past this house. It was Howard Thurman's house, and the name struck something in me. I said, I know that name. So there were a couple people in the neighborhood. I said, if this house says the birthplace of Howard Thurman, does anybody know who that is? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So ironically, there were a couple black folks, there were a couple white folks, um, and nobody could answer the question. And when I went back to do the research, what I found out again, because I heard about this a long time ago, but this is the problem with our history. If we don't talk about it, if we don't discuss it, if we don't pass it on, both in a written form and in an oral form, it's forgotten. Dr. Thurman was a classmate of Martin Luther King Sr. Okay? He went on to do several things. Of course, he was a pastor, divinity. He taught at several schools, including, some prestigious white schools, and I won't necessarily name them, but I will say that he also taught at Howard. He did some things that were, I guess you would say, it was devoid of racism in a time where racism and some of the things he accomplished as a black man was really off the charts. But what was most noted and what most people don't know, being a classmate of Martin Luther King Sr., he had an influence on Martin Luther King Jr., and he convinced them. So he was one of the people that convinced Martin Luther King Jr. to do nonviolent. So he was one of the architects of this whole civil rights movement. But he was one of these people that worked in the background. So he was doing things and he was given counsel, if you will, but he wasn't necessarily on the front line. The house still stands similar to Martin Luther King's birthplace in Atlanta. It's in one of the poorest areas here in Daytona. Unfortunately, nobody knows who this man is. Probably a couple people on, I was about to say Tuskegee Institute, but no, here in Daytona, it would be Bethune Cookman um, University. I have not made that kind of, I have to get more involved in this community. So it's my fault. I'm going to take that upon myself. I have to practice more of what I preach. Um, Unfortunately, when you come into areas like this, we run into a lot of black people who feel like you're an outsider and you come to take over. And the reason for doing so is because you have political aspirations and so forth and so on. And I've run into some of that here in Florida. So I am, on one hand, guarded about who I give my time to. On the other hand, I have to practice more of what I preach. So, without going off on a tangent, I'm going to challenge you to look up Dr. Howard Thurman, Thurmand. Look him up. They refer to him as much as a mystic. You understand? So, look him up. But I'm going to use that as a segue going into something else. First thing is, every day is Black History Month. Every day is Black History, so every month is Black History Month. So I make it his capital H, capital I, capital S, Tory. His story is my story. His story is your story. His story is America's story, as much as they try to deny it. Use that as a segue because here in the state of Florida, on yesterday, the Republicans in the state legislature put in a bill to eradicate or eliminate the Democratic Party as a whole in the state of Florida. Now, I let a couple things go because I just don't want to give this idiocy oxygen on this show because I wanted to use the first 3 months of this new year to talk about things that are true Black issues because I feel like there's a void in our black family. There's a disconnect between the women and the men. So I wanted to talk about some of those things. I wanted to concentrate on that. But in order to do that, I need your participation. So I'm caught between a rock and a hard spot, as far as that's concerned. So moving forward, I'm going to try doing a couple shows on Clubhouse. So look for that. That will give you an opportunity to lend your voice without giving your image. Because I've heard from several people that they got something they want to say, but when they come home, they're just relaxing and they're not camera ready. For me, I must be the greatest. I'm always ready for the camera. Show me a camera and I will act a fool. I'm just this personality, so I have something that I want to do, and I do it. How is it we can stand idly by and allow this to happen? How is it we can say we don't see a need for Black History Month? How is it we have the audacity to throw stones at people like Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who fought hard to get a Black History Month? So rather than complain about it, all we talk about is Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X and Thurgood Marshall. When I put stuff out there, I don't see the response. When I go to some of your pages and I see you guys talking about stuff, I will take from you and I will spread the word, because this is how I feel about it. On the other hand, I feel deficient in myself because my daughter she was just beyond herself when she started to do ancestry and she started to find out about her lineage and where she came from. And she said, Dad, we really do have Indian in our family. And I says, yes, we do. She says, well, why don't you talk about it? And I said, what's so bad about it is we have been cut off from that part of our heritage. So I really don't know enough about it. So I'm deficient on that end as well. So that's something else that I have to do. That's something that you have to do because you have some very colorful backgrounds as well. I want that to come out because what's happening when I was a kid, we had kind of like oral storytelling. We would literally sit down on the floor at the feet of my grandmother and my grandfather and my great grandmother and my great aunts and uncles. And they would tell us who we were and where we came from and who begot who and who had whom and so forth and so on. One of the reasons I'm talking about the relationships between Black men and Black women is because once upon a time, that was our linchpin. That was our foundation for the family. So if we are to get back there, we have to start over with the basics. You feel me? So that's where I am, people. That's the behind my madness. So here's the tease. I talk to more women than I talk to men. There's two guys that I talk to on the phone. Two. There's probably 6 or 7 women that I talk to from time to time. And some of you sporadically. Because I bounce things off people. I was talking to this young lady, and I want your feedback on this. So feel free to type in your responses and what have you, and I will address them. I was talking to this young lady. She's 57 years old. Okay? 57 years old. She has four kids, one son, a daughter, then two more sons. So she's got three sons and a daughter, ages 28, 24, 16, and 14, from what she told me. And I'm paying attention, and I'm going to put, quote unquote, her business out there without putting her name out there. And I'm comfortable enough that most of you don't know her because she's not someone that follows me on Facebook. Okay? If she don't follow me, I don't see her on your pages either. But I want to share this conversation with you because it leads up into what I want to talk about in the days to come. Her oldest son is 28 years old. His dad, she says she met this guy when she was 20. No, she was 21, he was 20. They got together, they had a baby. They weren't necessarily living together. The thing was, he was a drug dealer. Now, 28 years ago, I'm thinking about this because I've told you guys a lot of my history. I told you coming up when I first started to play music, how I was attracted to this one place because it just, there was music emanating from the pores of this juke joint on the corner of St. Anne and Claiborne in New Orleans. Well, outside was a lot of going on, and my mom told me, stay off the damn corner. Ain't nothing there. Ain't nothing good going on. And me being inquisitive and me being hard headed and me being a kid and a budding musician, I went around the corner and observed. And I told you how it led to me meeting someone who wound up being an infamous pimp. And how the difference in my New Orleans growing up was this guy talked to me like a person. He didn't try to exploit me. And he put me, quote, up on game. So that's one of the differences in our community. We don't have elders who treat children with respect. Of course, you got some kids out here that want to be womanish and mannish and smelling the seat of their pants. This is why our grandparents, our great aunts and uncles told us, you're beside yourself. You're smelling yourself. You're too mannish. You're too womanish. This is why preachers once upon a time taught about when I was a child. I thought as a child. I spoke as a child. I behaved as a child. Then he goes on to say, but when I became a man, I put away those childish things. That's where we've fallen short. So many of us are not behaving like the adults. So I'm sidetracked. I'm off on a tangent. So as I'm listening to this woman's story, I'm saying, okay, so do all you children have the same dad? She says, well, all three of the boys have the same dad, but my daughter has a different father. So now I'm listening to, because I took note of the fact that the oldest son is 28, the one daughter is 24. Me and this woman started talking because her 24-year-old daughter is a Howard alum. So when I say you said you know. So I was like, all right, cool. This is what's up. You know what I mean? I like to see young people doing something, something similar. Okay. Because I'm looking for cause and effect. I'm saying all of this to say that children do not get a vote in who they come from. I said this before 2 or 3 weeks ago. Women have a type. I say this to my boys all the time. You can't get over on a woman because when a woman leaves her house, she has bathed, she has showered, she has showered herself with some fragrances, she has clipped, nipped, and tucked some things to make it look appealing. She's already made up her mind. Matching panties and bra, and her shit is fierce. She's already made up her mind she's gonna give your dumb behind something. She's just hoping that your dumb ass don't say something that make her change her mind. So this was something I realized at the age of 16. And what's funny is this pimp I told you about, his name was Fillmore Slim. And he told me, he said, man, you're gonna be when you're 15. I said, why 15? And they start laughing. I'm like, so I couldn't wait to turn 15. At the age of 16, I start realizing some things. I start realizing that a lot of the guys that was in the barbershop talking most of the noise didn't have the slightest idea of what the hell they was talking about. I came to that conclusion because I was having relations with older women because girls my age was just too childish. They looked at me as being weird because I would recite poetry and Shakespeare and stuff like this. So I was always heavy on the cerebral side and corny as hell on the romantic side. These guys are still growing up. These women are still growing up, behaving like they did when they were 15, 16. This woman got teetotally angry, pissed off to the utmost of pissosity at me because I asked her one question. I said, all three of your sons have the same dad, but your daughter has a different father? I said, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I heard it differently, but didn't you have a son, then a daughter, then two more sons? She says, yeah. I said, so you got with dude, you got pregnant. He was a drug dealer. Let me guess, he went to jail. She says, yeah. I said, okay. So then you got what? Somebody else? And had a baby. And you went back to do? And she says, yeah, well, when he got out of jail, he contacted me. He got my number from his sister and he needed somewhere to stay. So he came. Jesus, take the wheel. I just had a wreck. And I said, okay. I'm trying to understand. So this is a common occurrence in this day and age. 28 years ago, no. The reason my mama told me to stay off of that corner, that quote unquote, there was no good over there, is because my mom's was not sure that Fillmore Slim would be the man that he was. He was a pimp and he put me up. He said, but let me tell you something about this thing. He said, do you know what a pimp is? I said, no, sir. He said, that little nigga called me sir. Yo, young blood. And I'm looking at him because I don't know about you, but when I grew up, if you didn't address an elder or a grown up as yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, you had trouble. And I said this before there was an internet, my mom had a network. Cause I would be out there showing out and doing my little thing, and, hey girl, come here, come here. Who you think you is? Blase, blase, blase. Well, go ahead on. Yeah. Head all up in the clouds. I hope you drown. Little Henry, I know your mama wouldn't like you acting like that. You don't know me. And if she called my mama by by her first name, I'd be like, oh, she know my mom. So before I could get home, she had already made the call. And my mom would say, so you out there showing out, acting like you ain't got no home train? No, man. No, 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 no. First of all, you need to go over there and apologize to that lady. So that was the difference. The other thing that my mom told me, ironically, that this pimp told me, my dad took me to a barber shop. Old dudes in there playing dominoes. Go ahead and knock, boy. Go ahead and knock. You ain't got nothing. I know what's in your hand. I know what's in your hand. I got your bone right here. This your bone right here. Go on and knock. All money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. Go ahead and put that down. You put that down, I'm gonna get 30. I'm telling you. Put it down. I'm gonna put that 1-6 down. Put that 1-6 down. Watch this. 30. All money ain't good money. And I'm looking at him, and that was the same thing that all old people taught us. I the money I made washing cars, when I was washing the pimp's cars, I was making $10 a car. At the time, everybody else was only paying me $2 or $3. So I figured out I could wash 4 cars and make $40. I couldn't bring $40 home. Because my mom said in 4 hours, there's no way you could have washed that many cars to make that much money. That's about $20. That's 20 cars. So I had to I had to hide some of my money. And once I had my pockets fat, I wouldn't go around. So I see him and said, "What's up? How you doing?" You know, that's it. So the good old young blood. When I got out the box, I was a little old nigga. Hey, little old nigga, oh, you got some money in your pocket now. You ain't got nothing to say today, huh? I'm like, no, I'm gonna come see you. Man, you ain't gotta come over here. Yeah, I'm coming, but my mama. Cause he said, yeah, if your mama knew you was over here, she kick your behind and my behind too. You know my mama? Yeah, I know your pa too. And I seen your pa knock his out over your mom. He crazy about that little old red woman. Yeah, Charlie Blue love him some red bone. I'm like, how you know my people? That's the difference. See, my mom didn't really like my dad when she met him because my mom's had 2 kids already. And she was very leery of bringing somebody around her kids, especially with one of those kids being a daughter. And double, especially with one of those kids being a son. Because homosexuality didn't just start when they came up with a rainbow flag. Say what? Oh, you don't hear me? So being a responsible parent, my mom didn't want to talk to my dad because she said he was always flirting with her. So she said she hated my dad and she hated Hank Williams. She said every day my dad would come into the restaurant and say, "Hey, good looking, what you got cooking?" My mom said, "Mm-mm, mm-mm." And one day he snuck in the side door and he came up on my mom and he whispered, "Hey, Red, how you doing?" And there were pies back in the day that they set on the countertop in the restaurant with that cake, that glass cake thing over it, and the knife stayed in there with the pie. And my mom said her first instinct was to pick up the butcher knife and say, "Look, fool, I ain't got time for your foolishness. I will gut you like a pig. I got 2 kids to raise." My dad said, "No, Red, we got 2 kids to raise. Can you tell me your name first? I said, man, my dad was smooth. But he showed her that he was for real. Then my dad taught me you don't take the cow if you can't accept the calves. And my dad was a man of few words. So when my dad spoke, you was like, EFI, daddy talking? Now moms, see, old school mamas was your first teacher. And they taught you right from wrong. When my brother decided he wanted to be a Black Panther, when my brother went from being a playboy and having all of these girlfriends to saying the revolution will not be televised, that I don't want nobody to give me nothing. If they don't open up the door, I'm kicking it in. They took the James Brown song because James Brown had a song that said, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open up the door, I get it myself. James Brown also said, I'd rather die on my feet than to live on my knees. So when I'm listening to this woman talk about how she got with this guy and she brought this guy back into her life, and I said, my next question was, I gave a cooling off period because, I was in my Dr. Phil mode. I got two more questions for you. Like, um do your kids have a relationship with their dad? No. See, I didn't ask how many more kids the dad had because that's not important. There are two shows that I want to do moving forward. The first show I want to do is on you women because I've said it time and time and time and time again. Women have a type. I've also said that as much as guys pretend to be this, that, and the other, the average man can't get nowhere with you unless you decide you want to. So what I try to teach my daughters is you respect yourself and you force others to respect you as well. When you walk around calling yourself BITCH and this, that, and the other, and somebody else calls you by that name, you can't get mad. So the first thing is you're tight. Ladies, you're tight. I don't need to know all your business. I don't need to know if your baby daddy was a drug dealer and he ran all of you know DC, Philadelphia, New York, California, Columbia. I don't need to know all of that. But my question to you is your type because it leads into another thing for me. I try to be a remote control dad in several households because if you know me, you know that I had four kids. I fathered four kids my senior year of high school. Did I set out to do that? Mm-mm. My dad died when I was just before my 16th birthday. My mom's was a hell of a woman, but she could not teach me to become a man. You know why? Because I'm like, Mama, you don't understand. My mama said, those little girls know that you're not going to be standing on the street corner. So they're trying to get their bid in. Bid? Yeah. Uh huh. So I'm getting with so and so and so and so, and I think I'm all of that. My poo don't stink. You know what I mean? And you came out your wallet with that old Jimmy that's been sitting there since Christ was a baby. And the girl said, "What you need that for? You think I'm dirty?" You say, "No, I said, oh no, I'm on the pill." Okay, yeah. All right, I guess it's safe then. Yeah, yeah. Then when she told you, you said, well, so I'm not putting the blame on them because I was a willing participant. Trust and believe I was. But at the time, 17 years old, I wasn't thinking about the repercussions of my Johnny Appleseed I was spreading. But the way I was raised, my mama said, okay, you got these scholarships to Howard and Yale and all of that. You can forget about that. You was man enough to create life, you're gonna be man enough to take care of it. My mom didn't say, well, that ain't none of my son, baby. First of all, the girls used to come around my house and sit on the porch with my mom. Even when I wasn't home. If I came home from playing football, I came home from playing music, going to a band rehearsal, there'd be 3 or 4 girls sitting on my porch with my moms. And I'm like, what you doing here? Hey, my mom said, y'all hungry? Y'all want something to eat? Don't feed them. I ain't tell them. Well, how they know where you live? Uh, I don't know. Everybody know where we live, mom. Yeah, okay. So in a lot of ways, the women chose me. And they were smart enough to make me think that I was choosing them. All they had to do was sashay in front of brother with their little midriff top, baboon, and them little high pants with that little tough. And bro was like, yo, hey. Let me get them digits, girl. Come here, girl. Come here, come. I know you hear me. Come here. Meet me halfway. Yeah, look. Man. And I think I'm the man. But once I created life, I had to put away childish things and become a man. So I wound up going in the Marine Corps. So when I listen to ladies that say things like, he wasn't doing nothing or he couldn't get a job and he was selling drugs. And this woman had the audacity to tell me, I said, did you know that he was selling drugs? She said, yeah. She said this shit proudly. I said, you knew he was selling drugs? She said, yeah. She said, but that was his business. As long as nobody ain't bring it to my house. I'm like, hold up. This is part two. You stuck on stupid immortified. I'm flabbergasted. I'm bamboozled. I'm hoodwinked. I'm definitely led astray. You said what? That was his business as long as he didn't bring it to your house. So what happened when he got out of? I ain't even going there. You see where I am? So ladies, here we are moving forward. What is your type? You choose to tell me what you want to tell me. What is your type? Because I got a lot of you who are girlfriends who said things like, yeah, but he's too nice. I like a little challenge. Okay, the brother that hits you in your head, or the brother that drop you off of work and drive your car, like little Jody and Wednesday. Jody don't love me no more. Okay, so what's your type? And it's not just like that because where we're going with this, I'm telling you about my life experiences because my experience is a lot like yours. I promise you. There are some things where we are labeled deadbeat dads, when in fact, there were some bad choices to begin with. I see some people that signed off, they didn't like what they heard. But hey, the truth hurts. I feel freer than a bird. So some brothers try to be there, and the ladies won't let them. I'm not saying. So if you made a good choice, and the brother was trying to be the man, and you didn't allow him, and now you're at a stage or age where you're still behaving. You're 55, 65 years old, and you're still behaving like you're 14, 15. I guess my mom was right. God does take care of babies, old people, and damn food. So I'm going to leave it right there. Every day is Black History. In order for us to get a history moving forward, we got to get our shit together right here, right now. We're going to do that two ways. One is politically, and the other one is personally. We got to get the Black family back. So let's do that. What's your type? My fellas, I'm coming for you too. You might be laughing and clapping and like, oh man, my man, and then now. No, 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 no. Because you got some responsibilities too. Because when I drive around Dr. Thurman's house and I'm asking brothers, and brothers like, yeah, but I know. I thought you wanted food. You 50 something years old riding a bike trying to sell dope. Are you serious? If you 50 something, if you 40 something, if you 30 something, and your drug game is pedaling a bike with some packets in your pocket, you need to look at your career choices. So I'm coming for you too. But I'm starting off with the ladies because ladies, you have the power. I ain't gonna never admit that again. I ain't gonna never admit it again. So that's all I got for you tonight, folks. Say what? I don't see no claps. I don't see no love. I don't see no kisses. I don't see no hearts. I don't see nothing. I feel so unloved. I feel like, oh, but you don't hear me though. I feel like the old Baptist preacher. But seriously, that's all I got for you tonight. Before I go, I wanted you to do me a favor. Go to my YouTube, OMITdaLOGIC. Drop by, subscribe, ring the bell. Give me some feedback. If you feel like I was full of shit tonight, tell me, man, you full of shit. You can't even go off like that. Because here's the thing. It's not about, as much as I like you to send me the kisses and the hugs and the distances and the that and the whoop whoops. Mm-hmm. It's just a hit. She get the assignment. She can't write out, but my type is type up front, just for show. Until 1 year later, and you really showed me something different. Well, I'm gonna address that next week. I will see you next week. After you go to my YouTube channel, OMITdaLOGIC. 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 Sign up, ring the bell, subscribe, share it with some other people. Share this show with your girlfriend. Have them, piss them off, let them cuss me out. And tell them, come back and tell me about myself. I ain't running. I will be here next week. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. As always, I tell you this. Don't be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. We're the elders now. World is on our shoulders. We got to set the example for these kids. It starts with us. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. How about you? So as always, important, I wish you love. I wish you peace. 2 fingers to the sky. And like your man, hair grease. I'm out of here. And I started up enough shit tonight. Good night, folks. I love you to death. Ain't shit you can do about it.